All right, and welcome to another episode of Digital Success with Shubham Bapna. Here with me, we have a special guest from Canada. And on today's episode, we are going to discuss daily strategies, insights on how we are helping our members at Digital Success Mastermind to take their high converting digital strategies and apply it to their business for rapid growth. And today's session, we have Brenden from Canada. So, Brenden, how are you doing? And please tell us who you are and what you do.
Of course, Shubham. Thanks for having me. So my name's Brenden. I'm the founder of MasterTalk. It's a YouTube channel that I started to help the world master the art of communication, public speaking. And how I got started was when I was in university. I used to do these things called case competitions. So think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So other guys my age were playing cricket or rugby or some other sport. I used that same competitive energy and I applied it to presentations. So for 3 years, I presented hundreds of times, coached a bunch of people on communication and public speaking. And then when I went to work for IBM in the corporate world after I graduated, I just asked myself this question that many of us ask at some point in their lives, which is, how do I contribute more to society? How do I add more value to the world? And that's when I had the idea for MasterTalk, because I noticed that a lot of people struggled with communication, but the tips out there were really bad. So I started making videos in my basement. One thing led to another, and here we are.
All right, that's quite, something that goes with the intuition that this is something that we need to do, and we are purpose-driven on that part. So, did you have any sort of purpose, or was there someone who is guiding you in that journey to tell the people out there that you have to master the art of public speaking and this is how you need to do? So were you following someone, or is it all from within? What is it like?
Definitely a mix of the two. So there's a lot of people that I consider heroes of mine that have really helped me along the journey that I never really got to meet in my life. They're more just heroes from the outside. So people like Scott Harrison, who's the CEO of Charity Water. I just love the work that he's doing. I think he's a phenomenal human being and change maker. And then also Seth Godin and people like that. So understanding their models is one part of it. But the recommendation I have for people is the answers to your life are often within yourself. I always say that the quality of your life is solely determined by the quality of the questions that you ask about yourself. And the harder the question...
That's really profound.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really Could you repeat once again for our audience?
Of course,
Because
I'm happy.
we just need to absorb that, and it would be really amazing to hear that again.
Of course, happy to, Shubha. And then I can give some examples as well. The
Sure.
quality of your life is solely determined by the quality of the questions that you're willing to ask yourself. I'm not more important than in the next guy. I would even guarantee you, Shubham, that we're pretty much the same age. I mean, I'm 24. I'm not that much older than you. But the difference...
26, yeah.
Oh, you're older than me. Okay, there you go.
That's fine. I think we are just, we are really aware of what is happening. That is what has brought us together. And for everyone who are listening to us or seeing this video, we haven't met each other. We just found each other online with our purpose to serve the community, to serve the people out there, to serve the entrepreneurs for a guided mission. And for me, it is digital success. And for Brenden, it's about how people, or how he can coach the purpose-driven entrepreneurs and master their message so that they can reach their ideas to the world out there. Is that right?
Absolutely, Shubham. Thanks for saying that. But yeah, absolutely. In this idea, what does it mean to ask yourself the hard questions? Here's a couple of examples that come to mind. What are you pretending not to know? If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? And if you died tomorrow, what would your funeral speech say about you? These questions that most human beings aren't willing to answer is where truth comes from. Most of us, especially in our communities, whether you're from India or Sri Lanka, it doesn't really matter. It's pretty similar. You're either a doctor, a lawyer, or a loser, and you better get an arranged marriage or you're going to suffer the consequences of that. Obviously, I'm kidding. Times have changed. But the point that I'm driving is that if you start to live to the expectations of other people, you'll end up being miserable in the long term. But instead, if you focus on asking yourself very difficult questions, you might realize that you want to draw cartoons for a living. You might realize that you want to be a part of the circus. You might realize that you want to start your own company, as long as those decisions make sense to you. But the only way to get to those decisions, Shubham, is to first ask yourself those difficult questions about life.
So, Brenden, that's really profound. But how does one really ask themselves those questions? Where do they start from? Where can anyone who is listening to us right now can start asking themselves those questions which tell them their purpose of life, or even help them take a step ahead from where they are to where they want to be? So what's that next step that they need to take?
Sure. So I'll give you the easiest thing to do. Is what's your definition of happiness? So I want everyone to do, take a piece of paper, take a phone, you can take notes, and just write down 4 to 5 things that you do that bring you the most joy. The issue with most people, Shubham, is they rely on other people's definition of happiness. You know, oh, everyone else is buying fancy cars, so I need to buy a fancy car. Everyone else is getting married before 25 or 30. I need to get married before 25 or 30. Everyone else is doing this, so that must be the right thing of doing things. Here's a couple of things on my list. I love yelling at my friends over long dinner conversations and being very controversial. I love dancing alone in my basement. I love karaokeing in 8 different languages. That's probably something most people don't like to do. They would go, oh, you know, I don't want to karaoke. But for you, that might be not you, but the audience. It might be gardening. It might be sitting at home and reading a book. But you need to understand that that list, that definition of happiness is only unique to you. In the same way I like dancing, you don't. I mean, most people listening probably don't. That's okay. But you need to define that for yourself. Where's your list? That's the task. So I think the chapter 1, you don't have to be controversial. You don't have to ask hard questions about life. You can just start by making a list and asking yourself, are you doing those things? Or are you doing other things? So if you like reading books and you're spending all of your day in clubs because all your friends are in clubs, are you really making the right decisions that are maximizing your happiness?
I think that's important because most of people driven out there are with the herd community and peer pressure. These 2 things, I think, control many lives and take away what they actually wanted to be and where they wanted to reach. So I remember this video that is floating around on YouTube by Matthew McConaughey, where he tells that, you should not find out who you are, but who you're not. So that is something I really feel that is powerful and rightly said by you, that people need to find out who they are really and what really makes them happy and what is the definition of happiness or success for them. It differs from person to person, and I think that's really insightful. Now, if you can tell me about your secret sauce, what really drives you?
Absolutely. So what happened with me, Shubham, is after I ask myself these hard questions about life, and I still do that every day, it just starts with one every day. One question every single day. I came to the following. I'm not going to live for a very long time. Sure, we're both young, but we don't have that long to live. Probably for 50 years, 60 years, 70 if we're healthy. So for me, I realized very quickly that life was not about the money, but rather the impact that one can make in one's life, the legacy that we can leave behind. So that's what really drives me. It means doing important things for really important people. And by important people, I don't mean celebrities. I mean people who are trying to make a change in the world. So for me, with my gifts, that ended up being MasterTalk and this idea that if I could be the bridge between every single person who wants to make a change, whether they're a 7-year-old girl in India trying to raise money for charity, or a nun in a church, or a baker who's trying to make these great goodies and doesn't know how to communicate the baking instructions to everyone in the group. If I could just be that person for everybody, we would all have the courage to share our ideas. And if we all had that courage in the same way you're doing something that most people in our community wouldn't do, which is have a podcast and interview somebody, then it opens up the door to understanding that all of our ideas matter. And that's what will move society forward.
Wow. I think I would, attend your live event, and whenever it is, let me know. I will even, fly to Canada and attend that, because you really captivate the people and the audience in such a way that we just want to know more and more. So I think that's really amazing from someone who is just getting started, and I'm sure that you have a long way to go, and the success that I wish for you and both of us is something very deep within. So we don't know each other much, we just connected, but I feel we share a same purpose of finding a true definition of success. Now, since I have seen a lot of videos of yours on YouTube, and you're quite active on Instagram as well. So can you tell us that how do you actually define what content you need to bring out, and what kind of communication, what kind of pattern that you follow? Is there something like that, or you just go with your intuition? What is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's definitely different ways of structuring based on the type of medium. So let's say I'm giving a speech, right? So the way that I communicate there, Shubham, is very different than the way that I would communicate, let's say, in an Instagram video or a YouTube video, which is where I spend most of my time, which is on YouTube. So when I started, and you can go back to see my first couple of videos, they're pretty bad. I was just on my mother's sofa, in their basement. And I was just like, hey guys, Brenden. Don't really have any money. I was a broke student like most of us were at some part or another. And then as I got better on camera slowly over time, that's when I went professional. I took some money and I invested in the channel a lot more. But I think the idea is simple. The most important thing that you need to figure out is how to start. And the best way to start is to figure out an idea worth sharing. What is that one thing that you know more than anyone else? It could be about crafts, it could be about public speaking, it could be about marketing. It doesn't really matter what it is. But then you need to have the courage to share it consistently, because it's by doing it a lot that allows you to communicate like this. Right? So people look at me and they go, wow, Brenden, you're so good on these podcasts. What's your secret? The secret is podcast guest on 200 shows, right? It's not, there's a secret formula. I have some frameworks that we can think through that I'm happy to share. But the general perspective, Shua, is you just need to do it more often. But the key is you need to always do the same theme, the same format, the same idea. So for example, when you started this show, Shubham, what episode are you at now? What episode is this? Like 20, 50?
So this is episode number 2.
Okay. That's okay. So episode number 2. That's okay. You're pretty good already for someone who's getting started.
So we're just getting started. And by the time we are at so my plan, I'll just interrupt you and tell something about what this whole thing is all about. So Digital Success with Shubham Bhavna, it's a kind of interview session with 100 leading digital authorities on communication, on digital marketing, on presentation, on networking, and a lot of different concepts, because it's just not the digital marketing part where a business needs or an entrepreneur has to apply in their business, but a lot of different bunch of skills that are needed day in, day out. So my plan is to have an access to such strategies, such frameworks like you're going to share right now. I hope you do share with our audience.
Of course. That's what we're here to do. I just wanted people to understand that what's more important than the framework is understanding that the key is to do something. Like for me, when I got started with YouTube, right? What got me really good, relatively speaking, I'm still getting better every day. But what gave me that initial success was I presented a video on Instagram every single day. I opened my stories, nothing complicated. Open Instagram stories, you go, hey guys, I got this thought, 20 seconds, done. I did the same thing the next day. Practice hundreds of times, once every day. And in a year, I can talk like this, but it takes time, absolutely. So what's my framework? Right, so for speeches, let's say you do a presentation, okay? Public speaking, Shuham, is it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You know those pieces on a puzzle, those 1,000 pieces you got to put together with your family? Especially now with COVID, it's probably a lot more frequent. So if I asked you, Shuham, which pieces would you start with first and why?
With the family?
Or just, you're working on this puzzle yourself, it could be with your family. Which pieces do you start with usually?
So what I'm doing, why I'm doing, how I can get better at it.
Right, but wait. So let me kind of rephrase. Do you know what a jigsaw puzzle is? You know those jigsaw puzzles? There's like little pieces. So like, which pieces do you start with first?
The base. We start building the base, and then we plan to go advanced level.
Right, exactly. So that's.
Is that something relating to what you're going to tell?
Right, exactly. So like puzzles, right? You start with the easy ones and you go to difficult ones. That's true. But most time when you do a puzzle, you start with the corner pieces first. You know how you start with the edges? Where you get the edges, right? Because they're easier, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool. Because
I
usually
was thinking something else.
No, it's all good. So let's say when you were a kid, you're doing like these puzzles where you like animals and stuff like that, and you got to get the corner pieces out, and then you do the middle. But anyways, the analogy I was making here is in presentations, we never start with the corners. We have a presentation in 2 days from school or work, so what do? We shove a bunch of content, throw a bunch of content on it. Then we get to the presentation, we get to the last slide, and it sounds something like this. Thanks. That's 97% of all of the presentations I've seen in my life. So what's the secret? The secret is the puzzle framework. Start with the edges first. Practice your introduction 50 times. Not 5 times, not 3 times. 50 times. It'll take you an hour. It's actually not that hard. Same thing with the conclusion. What's a great movie with a terrible ending? A terrible movie, right? Same thing. 50 times the conclusion. In 2 hours of practice, you'll have already 10 extra communication skills. And with that framework, then you look at yourself and you go, wow, I'm really good at this communication thing. And then you tackle the middle. That's the secret to communication. Start with the edges first, tackle the middle after. So like with your show, when you get to episode 7, you're going to say, if my listener is listening to the first 22 minutes of my show, I need to make sure I hook them in, or else they're not going to keep watching. So now I'm going to keep, but even if you don't want to practice, Shuham, every time you interview a guest, you have to practice your introduction. Absolutely. So when you're at episode 50 or episode 75 of the show, your introductions will go from, so Brenden's here from MasterTalk to growing up in a city like Montreal. You're going to be like, amazing, because you're always practicing the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely. That's quite valuable for me and my audience as well, that we need to hook in our audience and have a control over our tone and take it high when it's necessary and bring it down. So these all things are very, very important. So I was telling that, why I'm doing this, about the digital success, what's the whole idea about. So as I was telling, my plan is to gather strategies, knowledge, ideas, and have the 100 leading digital authorities share their frameworks. So I'm going to combine all of these and launch my second book. So I'm already an author. I have launched my first book. It's called Unleash Your Business Online. It's available on Amazon and much other places. So this second book is going to be called 10x Digital Growth. And this is going to cover all the aspects one needs to grow their self, their brand, or their business on a whole different level. We all know now, because of the COVID, that we have to go digital. And before that, a lot of people were not going, taking it very lightly. But now I think this is the last chance, and something which people can really take on a whole different level if they have the direction right. So without direction, people can be lost. People can, just go watching YouTube videos and have, no idea where to start from and how to take it ahead. So I think that is very important. That, and even you say that. Let me put it right here. That they need to master their message and share their ideas with the world. So the structure, the framework, the ideas have to be shared, because people won't just come to know that, this is something out there. So now moving ahead, I think we have covered so many different things here. And one thing that I really want to ask you, Brenden, is that how does one face fears and, the little voice in the head which goes around and tells people out there when they try to record themselves, when they try to speak in public, how does one conquer that little noise and move ahead towards the path of success?
Absolutely, sure. I think for me, the secret is the following. The fear needs to lose to the message. The fear will always be there, Shuham. Even today, even when I'm a professional speaker these days and I present to hundreds of people at a time, I'm still scared of communication. Sometimes you just don't know, you're just scared of public speaking. But the fear always loses to the message. If the fear and the fear and the message were in this boxing match together, you need to make sure that the message wins. If you care enough about your ideas, the fear will go away for the most part. I started MasterTalk when I was 22, Shubham. Who am I to teach executives communication? I coach people who are double my age these days. Where does that confidence come from? It comes from a belief system. An idea that what if I created a world where everyone had access to ideas and the ability to share it with everyone else. And for me to do that, I needed money. I needed financial resources. And obviously, I can't go asking the people who are younger than me for my coaching. They can't afford me. So I needed to coach executives. So it was about understanding what I was trying to achieve despite my fear, and say the message that I have to share with the world matters more. My fear loses, and then I can share what I need to share. So that's the key. If you're scared out there, I understand. I spent my whole life presenting in a language I didn't know, Shubham. Grew up in a city called Montreal in Canada. Montreal, French is a required language. You need to know how to speak French, or else you don't do well in the city. And I didn't know how to speak French. So my parents put me in a French education system in a French school where I had to learn French. So I was presenting in a language I didn't know. Right? Imagine speaking Urdu or Hindi or Punjabi or Telugu or Tamil and being in a class where you have to present in French. Well, you don't know how to speak it. So that was my whole life. So if I could do it, I'm pretty sure everyone else can too. So remember, the fear needs to lose to the message. That's the key.
Wow, that's powerful. That one needs to actually understand that the focus should be on the idea and not what people are going to think about you. Because if you start thinking what people are going to think about you, then you fall in the same league where you lose your focus and you're just lost. You're just going out there and pleasing people for something that they might not even remember after 5 to 10 minutes. So I think that's something really profound that people need to understand. And so what does one really, have to do to present themselves? So Brenden, let me frame it this way, that, if, let's say, communication is important for everyone out there, because we are communicating every single day with a lot of different people. But let's say if someone wants to present themselves in such a way let's say for an interview or someone who is meeting some clients to show some work. So how does one start? What should be the format? Is there something that people can, after this session, take it right away, understand it, and implement in their life and get massive value out of it? Is there some framework which people can follow?
Absolutely, Shubham. The strategy is simple, my friend. Always do the harder exercise. If you're scared of the meeting with executives, get a bunch of friends to do the meeting and make it 10 times harder. If you're scared of the interview, get friends to ask you the hardest questions in the world. So when you get to the interview, you're like, wow, these people are really nice. This interview is really easy. It's always about doing the harder thing, the harder exercise. So everything that you fear, always ask yourself, how can you 10x the difficulty so that when you get into that actual presentation, it becomes a joke? I'll give you an easy example. I call this the random word exercise. So the random word exercise, Shubham, is essentially where you pick a random word. So let's say you take couch or lights or something, and you have to make a presentation out of thin air. If you can present something that you have no expertise in, like nail polish or headset or tissue paper, well then when you go back to your actual presentation about digital success or digital marketing, that presentation is easy. And I'm also happy to demonstrate it, Shubham. You want to give me a word and I can show it to the audience?
Absolutely. So if you can share something about sell me this pen.
Right. So how about we use pen? So is pen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so
and we
here
can
I
also
go.
have a bonus one. Sell me this pen.
Sure. It's not really how the exercise works, but sure, let's go with pen.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's try it.
As I was sitting in my first grade classroom, I could see many things on my desk. Papers, pencils, and this pen. You know, a lot of people tend to look at pens and say, pen is just a regular thing that I use to write something with. But it's much more than that. Why do some people spend tens of thousands of dollars on a pen? Why is it that others spend a couple of pennies? Well, my friends, the difference is that for some, pens are just a writing instrument. They're a means to an end. They're a way to get the job done. But to others, a pen is to savor a moment. When you sign $100 million contract, why would you ever sign it with a Bic pen? When you're signing your marriage vows, why would you ever sign it with a $2 pen? Pens, if chosen in the right way, if done in the right order, can make the most memories, and moments matter when they most do. They're more than just a way to write words on a piece of paper. They're a way to write our own future. So I ask you all to raise your pens and to share your ideas with the world, because we need more creators, more doers, more shakers, more people who have ideas to share. And all it starts, all you need to do is pick up the pen and write. So anyways, that was just super random, but it's the point that I'm driving.
Wow, that was really profound. And I really like the way you carried the whole story and gave it a whole different meaning. So that's really amazing, Brenden.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. But it's three things I want to emphasize. No, please go ahead.
Please. No.
Yeah.
You please carry on.
Of course.
Yeah.
So three things I want to talk about here. One, don't compare yourself to me. Right? And the reason you shouldn't is because I've done it 2,000 times. I didn't just wake up and I sounded like this. I did it 2,000 times, and I'm not exaggerating the number. Number two, all I'm asking for is 5 minutes of your day. Not 5 hours, just 5 minutes. 5 words, 1 minute each, 5 presentations. It's easy. It won't take you that long. Pen, t-shirt, even if you're in a public setting, let's say you're at a beach the whole day, you don't need to do the exercise. You can just think, well, what if the word was ocean? What would I do? What would I talk about? That's good. You do that for a year, you'll have done it the same amount of times as I have. Number 3, why does the exercise matter? The exercise matters because it's a mindset change. If you can do nail polish, t-shirt, blanket for a minute, when you go back to the presentation you spent weeks preparing, that presentation you once feared becomes a joke.
Yeah, I have tried this a few times, without knowing that this will really boost my confidence or take away all the pressure that I have, I'm carrying for since a long, long time. So I can totally relate to that. And I'm sure those who are listening to us and watching this video can really take these insights, these frameworks, and apply it to your daily life, apply it to where it matters. Because when you start doing that, you start getting different results that you have always wanted. Now, Brenden, for the bonus part, sell me this pen.
Didn't I already sell you the pen? I already told you. The $20,000 pen. Share a moment that matters.
I think yes, you did. So if you were actually selling with this, and I'm imagining that I would be signing $100 million, real estate contract in, let's say, 5 years, I would buy this right now and definitely think of that success moment, because I'm attaching a lot of emotions to it right away. So what I can understand from your, the story that you shared with us about this pen is that when anyone is trying to communicate something's out there and where it really matters, then they can attach some emotions. They can take you through the whole journey of where this pen could actually take them and make them feel that this is a kind of not just a product, but an emotion that could take them to success and help them achieve that something that they haven't even thought of. So I'm relating it this way. Is this correct, Brenden?
Absolutely, man. I think the key is it all starts with your audience. What are the emotions that they feel? What are they going through? And how can you tie your ideas with what they care about? And if you can do that, you've mastered communication.
Brilliant. So, Brenden, before we, have an end to this conversation, but I'm pretty sure that we should stay connected and keep sharing insights and strategies to people out there so that they can improve their communication, they can become successful digitally, as well as take their life, business, brand, whatever they're attached with, to a whole different level. What's that one single thing that you want to leave our audience with so that they can remember you and this podcast, this video forever?
Absolutely.
What's that one single thing?
That's a big ask. Let's see if I can fulfill it. The advice is simple. If you made it this far into this conversation, the only thing that matters is the following. Be insane or be the same. If you want to be like everyone else, that's totally fine. But if you made it 33 minutes into this conversation, you probably want to make a difference in your life. You probably want to make a change. So the only advice that matters, Shuham, is the following. You want to do great things? Learn to be insane. Don't you find it odd that a 22-year-old like me started a YouTube channel on public speaking, then went on to coach executives at the age of 23, but also lives in his mother's basement, is talking to on a mattress, dances alone in his basement, loves Justin Bieber? Why do any of these decisions, or how do any of these decisions make any sense at all? And that, my friend, is the point. When all of the decisions that you make in your life make sense to the only person that matters, which is you, you're probably making the right decisions.
I think that's something that we all can remember and take it with us. So to follow Brenden on Instagram, you can use this link that I'm going to share right here. So here is the link for Brenden, Master Your Talk. Search for this term and you'll be able to come across Brendan's Instagram account. You can follow him there. You can understand what ideas he is showing and sharing with the world out there, which can really change your life. And to follow me on Instagram, you can search for this term 10x Shubham Bhatna, and here you will get massive digital strategies on how you can grow your business, how you can grow your brand, how you can master your journey in the post-COVID stage. Let's be positive because COVID is not going to stay forever. And I wish you all the best. Wish you a safe year, because this year is something which is a lot of surprises. And wish you a great success in future, and would love to have you again very much soon on our future podcast. So thank you so much, Brenden, for joining in, and thank you for this wonderful insight.
Of course, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.